Today I'm doing a video of how to do an oil change on a 2024 Subaru Outback. It's actually a pretty easy process. I'm just going to try to walk you through it as easily as possible and show you kind of the steps and the supplies and tools and everything that are necessary to do the oil change. Looking at the engine here, you can find the oil filter. It's very easy to find, just right here on the top of the motor, and then the oil drain area where you just kind of put the oil in there. So it's pretty easy, very accessible. Unlike a lot of cars where the oil filter is underneath the car, this one's right here on the top. For the oil change, of course, you need a drain pan, rubber gloves, keep the oil off your hands, a fuel funnel. I have here to the right, kind of see where my finger is, just a little pee pad lay down. They're really great to use on your driveway. If you spill any oil, it won't leak through into the driveway. So you can pick them up at a store. Basically, it sells like dog pee pads. Come usually like 50 or 100 in a box. So I use those every time I change the oil. Of course, you need the compression fitting, this one here that goes on the fuel filter, and you have to replace that every time. It's just like a little like kind of like a washer. And then also the fuel cap here, kind of to the bottom, this thing here, that just fits over top of the oil filter, which I'll show later in the video. And then a socket wrench, it's 11/16 is the bolt fitting, paper towels, and then just the let's say the oil, the 0W20, and then the mobile fuel filter. And so basically that's all that's really needed for the oil change. Now this is just a video of where the actual oil drain plug is at. Just kind of circle around here so you can see it up there, and that's the drain plug. It's pretty easy to actually access and find from under the car. There's a lot of clearance under here, so it's easy to kind of get to the actual plug, and it loosens up pretty quickly. Although whenever I got my car originally, when it came from the factory, it took a little bit of muscle to kind of get it loosened. But normally, since you're just kind of doing it yourself as far as tightening and loosening, it only has to be kind of hand tight, so it doesn't be, I don't have to really squeeze it, so to speak. So this is the location. As I say, very easy to locate underneath of your car. Okay, initially, when you get under the car, you have to kind of get to the bolt to unloosen it first. I'll do that first here. So now it's loose, and that's pretty easy. Pull your protective pad and the oil pan underneath of it, and with your hand just reach up under and unscrew it. So it takes a couple minutes for the oil to fully drain out into the pan. After I get the bolt out, usually I'll just take my glove off and then kind of clean up the bolts. And then this washer, you can see I'll have to take that off there and put a new one on. So just kind of remember which side it actually goes in. I believe this is the way it kind of faces out, so kind of see how the angle of the washer is here. These I forgot to mention when I was talking about my supplies. I actually got these at the Subaru dealership. I tried to order some online, but it wasn't the right fit, and so it wasn't really, I think it only cost me less than $20 for, it's like 100 of them in there. So you're good to go probably for all the oil changes of your car. But it's really easy. When you do put the bolt back in, you do have to kind of, squeeze down on it a little bit just to make sure that the, the washer kind of flattens down a little bit and has the right fitting. I think I've heard sometimes that some people put those on and it wasn't quite the right tightness, and it has like a little bit of a leak. So just check it after you've put the bolt back on, and when you put your oil in and everything like that, you can get back under the car, or just check on the driveway to see if there's any oil drips or anything like that. And if there are, you can just go make sure you got it on tight enough. But I haven't really had any issues thus far. I've changed my oil several times now, and it's pretty easy, as I say. I just wanted to show how you can see like the oil, there's residual oil. I normally just take a paper towel and wipe around the rim there. And if you use these pee pads, if you do have oil that drops on it, as I say, it won't stain your driveway. It won't go through the plastic on the bottom. It'll just kind of drain it out. So just an FYI, I've went times where I didn't use these before, and somehow I just seem to get oil on my driveway. So I'll put the drain plug in. I just wanted to kind of show you, how these do work. So the next step is basically just putting the socket wrench back on the plug. Tightening up. Like I said, you just have to do kind of hand tight. You get to go into the plug. There you go. That's about it. The next part is just to take off the oil filter, and I have this little cap that kind of fits on top of it. It's a 65 millimeter, 67 millimeter filter wrench. Put that on there, and then you basically take your socket wrench, just kind of with the open. This is just an extension that I put on the bottom to be able to access the drain plug, but you can put it on here. Just kind of turn it. Pretty easy to turn, really. That's all there is to it, really. And then from here, just kind of wheel it with your hands. You may have a little residual oil that comes out of the filter. Sometimes after you drain the little pan, you may not really have anything, but here you just take it off. And as you can see, that's kind of where your oil filter sits in. So it's a pretty easy process actually to get that off of there. And then usually I'll take like a rag or a paper towel or something, just kind of wipe that residual oil off of there. So as you can see, I went ahead, just took a paper towel, wiped that casing off, just cleaned all the dirty oil and so forth off of it. I have the new oil filter, and I'll go ahead and dab a little bit of oil around the seal there before I put it on. So I went ahead, as I said, just put a little oil around the fitting there on the top, just to kind of make a smooth fit, and just kind of screw it on there. It's really easy, actually. Just kind of hand tighten it. That's all there is to that. And then the next part is basically just taking off this oil cap, and we can put our oil down in there. Okay, next thing obviously is just to put the fuel funnel in there. And then the manual for my car calls for 4.4 quarts. I just have the individual quarts, and so I'll go ahead and add those into the car engine. This is kind of self-explanatory. Just pour it in there. So I'll pour all those in. So I poured all my oil in, and the next part is just to put the cap back on. And then I will check the oil level. Okay, then the last part is basically just to pull out this dipstick here, check the oil levels, and basically kind of see, you just want it to go to that second little dot there. So push it all the way down, pull it out. We can see on the dipstick there, looks like it's right at the right level. Put your dipstick back in. And that's really all there is to changing your oil in a Subaru Outback. When I get inside the car, basically go into the trip computer and the settings actually, and go ahead and reset the mileage to 6,000 miles, which is the rating as far as how frequently you're supposed to change it. Sometimes I'll do it a little sooner than 6,000, but that's what it calls for in the scheduled maintenance book. Just wanted to show, as far as resetting your oil, you just go over to car info, maintenance, and then basically hit reset, and then over here on your engine oil, just click on that, and then the notification, just set it at 6,000, set, and then hit X, and then oil filter, do the same thing, notification, 6,000 miles, set, X out. And then that way it'll kind of keep tabs on when your next oil change is due. You can actually put in the date, you can set for tire rotation, maintenance schedule, things like that. So every time I change my oil, I go ahead and just reset the oil change for another 6,000 miles. And then finally, the last thing that you want to do after you've done your oil change is go to your warranty and maintenance booklet and write in your mileage and basically the information in reference to the oil change. So I was at 31,587. Here's the, and then usually I'll just write in here oil and filter. I also added some radiator fluid, and then I did it myself. Now I know with Subaru they say you basically have to keep receipts of all of your oil, filter, gasket, and so forth like that. So you can do that if you want to try to maintain your warranty. It's probably a helpful thing to do. So again, just wanted to say thank you for joining me in on this oil change today. I hope it's been helpful, and hopefully you'll have great success at changing your own oil in your Subaru Outback. Thank you.